Hello everybody, this is an IBM 380D laptop, IBM Thinkpad 380D. And that is obviously the subject of the video today. Yay! This laptop has a Pentium 1 processor in it, and used to have a 6.4 gigabyte hard drive, but that died. So now it has a 300 megabyte hard drive in it as a replacement. The 300 megabyte hard drive has Windows 3.1 on it and has tons of Tetris clone games, as well as a couple useful things. Flipping the laptop onto its back reveals something, if I can get it in the right direction. Reveals the Windows 95 logo, the IBM logo thing, the battery, and the instructions of how to remove it. The battery in this is dead, as you might expect. This laptop is very thick, as you can see. It has a CD-ROM and floppy drive. It has volume control here. Microphone in and line out. On the back, it has screws for removing the back on both sides. Has a it's a mouse thing, but it looks sort of proprietary. Not sure about that. Has VGA out, a bit of a broken thing right there, bit of another broken thing right there where the screw had rusted in place and I had to break it open. LPT port and serial. On this side, you can see the power slider, I'm not even sure what that is, 2 PCMCIA slots, and a lock. So, now, I'm going to power this bad boy on, and I'll get it into the BIOS, and it opens, if I can hold this in such a way, it opens with these two latches here, and the screen just comes up. So, now, I think the way to get into BIOS is a bit bizarre for this laptop, but I'm pretty sure I can do it. So let me try this. As with some laptops and how they operate, their BIOS, if they detect a stuck key, it'll cause a keyboard error. So, you can either choose the test option or the restart option, and this has a mouse pointer integration, which is interesting. So I'm going to hit the test button, and you can see it has all the tests in its what you would call BIOS. So you can just hit start test and it'll test everything. So I'll do that. See, it tests the system board, and you'll see this illuminate. Okay, I guess it doesn't do that as part of its test. So now it's doing a memory test. It has 16 megabytes of onboard RAM, I'm sure. I'll skip until the next test starts because this does take a while sometimes. So the memory test is just about finished, so we'll move on to the next one. Hopefully a more interesting one. So it's going to test the display, and this is actually a lot more interesting. So as you can see, this does do a lot of video testing, but the tests it does are quite interesting. So they're not boring. You can see it testing all the color ranges, which is interesting to see. In my opinion, at least. And this is all loaded out of the BIOS. So this is pretty impressive for IBM to, have this much tests built into a laptop. But it is pretty thick, so yeah. So there, the display test is done. Now you get to listen to the hard drive test. Sorry, me holding a key. Okay, so it completed that, which is not unexpected. But when it completes the display self-test, if you can see right there, there's one stuck pixel. But I guess it doesn't count stuck pixels, and I'm not exactly sure why that stuck pixel exists. Maybe it can be fixed. I wouldn't hold any hope for that. This doesn't seem to be like any type of active matrix screen. It seems to be just a regular LCD display. So it's fairly modern in that sense, and everything tested already, so there we go. And I think if I hit this hospital thing, it goes to something different. Maybe it just makes noise. I don't know. Oh, okay. Thinkpad FRU connections. What? Okay. Either this is just one word, or this is the entire thing, but I would assume it's the entire thing. So the keyboard is apparently a US/Hebrew keyboard. Good to know. So that's interesting. Ooh. Oh, there we go. Cool. So you can test literally every key on the keyboard with this. And I'll do that, so I'll be right back. Okay, so there you can see all the keys work, including the FN key, which you have to hold down to get to actually show. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know you could actually do that. I think clicking on these memory tests, yeah, you can do them separately. So it'll tell you in depth what it's actually doing, so that's interesting. I'm not sure why it tests below and above 1 megabyte separately. Maybe it's the DIMM size, but I doubt that because this is a laptop. And having too many DIMMs in it would cause problems. So here you can see it's testing addresses. So, yeah. So this is a pretty in-depth test. This would have been before the era of, what do you call it? MemTest 86. So, although MemTest x86 I think would do a more thorough job than this is doing, it's still a pretty good job nonetheless, especially for the time period. I'm pretty sure you can hit escape to stop this, or not, so I'm going to have to wait. Okay, I'll be back when this finishes, and then I think I can get into actual settings on this thing. I'll just have to figure out how. So you can see the test passed as it did last time, so it's not a surprise, and you press enter to exit. So now I'm going to test the system board just to see what kind of text pops up, and I'm pretty sure that those illuminate when doing the system board test, so let's see if they do. Okay, I guess it doesn't, but I'll show you that again just to show you all the tests that it does. Do not use the keyboard or pointing device. Do not power off or reboot the system. So you can see all the tests that it does. And I think using the track point or the keyboard during the test would result in a test fail. So let me try that. Just to mess with it. Okay, I guess it doesn't mess with it, so I don't know why it tells me to not do that. see what it says for the HDD test, and then I'll actually, move on, because this is getting kind of old. Do you want to run an all-sector test for HDD and HDDB? And no, I do not, because that'll take a long time. So you can hear maybe right now that it's seeking. Okay, so what's interesting is when I had the old hard drive, the 6.4 gigabyte hard drive in this model of laptop, it would, every time it would do the HDD test, it would always pass, but it would not boot Windows, and it would barely pass its seek test upon startup. So the way that it acted, it was very odd. So, I don't know. I'm almost regretting getting rid of that hard drive now, because I could maybe have at least tried to bring it back to life using SpinRite or the inbuilt HDD test tool on this, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to see if I can actually get into the system settings, and I'll be back with you. Just before I restart, this is the prompt you get when you press the restart button. OK, and you hit OK. Okay, so I have entered the setup for the IBM 380D, and it's called Easy Setup. And this is trademark of Intel Corporation, but I'm almost fairly sure. Oh, well, that's for the Pentium processor. All right, that explains that. 1.150 megahertz processor. So I'm fairly sure that this BIOS was totally made by IBM. In fact, I'm absolutely sure, because no other vendor has made anything similar to this, except for on a Toshiba desktop, which uses a sort of UEFI-like interface, but no UEFI features like mouse support or anything else, and that motherboard is from 1999, so it couldn't be UEFI if it wanted to. So, okay, you can go into the config settings, and you can do tons of things. You can configure the memory, and you can see the installed memory. So you see you have installed 16 megabytes of RAM with a usable 16 megabytes, basically. You can see on the system board, I think, all the connections. Yeah, you can see the revision number, the power management version, the BIOS version, 1.35 in this case, the video ROM version, the setup version, and the slave controller version. So that's interesting. Initialize. Not sure what that does, but I'm not even going to try because it doesn't sound like a good idea. So you can set the date and time on this. You can set a password. You can set your startup thing and stuff like that. Now there's an interesting feature of this laptop. If I power it off and power it back on, if I hold this a little bit and trigger a keyboard error, and it already triggered. Now, all right. See, right now I'm not even touching the mouse. Well, I am now, but okay. See, it's over here now. Now I'm going to let my hand off the mouse. Watch the cursor. I'll show you again. Bird is over there. If you hold the track point when the thing is posting, it zeroes the track point at a position that is not the zero position. So where it thinks the zero position is different from where it actually is, and thus causes the cursor to move. So that's interesting. You can just remedy this by restarting the system. Oh, and it seems to have gone away now, so apparently it's a refresh thing. So now this is going to boot into Windows 3.1, and we can actually, see what the frick is going on. Oh, no. Come on. As you can see, it's starting MS-DOS. It's initializing the mouse driver, which is useful because this has a track point. And it actually seems to work, even though it's probably not the right mouse driver because reasons. So this is Windows 3.1, and this is definitely not what would have come on this computer. What would have come on this computer is Windows 95, but unfortunately the original hard drive in this has failed, like I said, so I cannot really do that right now. I will eventually order a replacement hard drive for it, but I've forgotten the model number for the hard drive. It's a 6.4 gigabyte IBM laptop drive. It's quite thick. I'm not even sure it had the Travel Star naming, but I can't really say for certain. So there's really not much to show in this. There's some games such as Tetris and others, but I'm not... Okay, I guess they do run. So this one's called Super Tetris. And you can play tons of crap. I think this one actually runs... Yeah, this one runs way too fast for this system because the hard drive in this came out of a 486 computer. So whenever I try to play these games on a Pentium 1, it always goes much faster than it would have ever done on a 486. And that's a way a lot of computers at the time were designed. They weren't designed with a set speed. Their speed was defined by the system clock. So, for example, if your clock speed on a 46DX33 was 33 megahertz, it would run at a 33 megahertz speed. And it would be, you know, nice and enjoyable and not too slow, not too fast. But if you jump that to a Pentium 150 like this one is, it runs way faster than it should, and this is hard to play. Even the sounds are accelerated. So that's really all I can show you there, because these really aren't that exciting. I think Quatris is maybe one of the better ones, but I can't say for certain, and it doesn't run in a Windows environment. So I know the directory for this, CD Games, I think. Alright, yeah, so Quatris. Nope, it's Quatris 2. Okay. Oh, okay, so it doesn't even run at all. It just errors out. So there you see another one of the problems with running this on a faster processor than originally designed. So that's really all I can show you with the 380D. It's actually the 380XD, because the 380XD was the one that came with a 6.4 gigahertz processor. So, or 6.4 gigabyte hard drive, not 6.4 gigahertz processor. Ugh. So, anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and most of the content in it, and if you didn't, then be sure to give a thumbs down. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give a thumbs up. So, that's it. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day. Don't have to wait for it to shut down that time.